Welcome to this Mindful Monday session. This is the first Mindful Monday session to give you an introduction as to what the format is for these online sessions. So they happen every Monday, UK time, 6 o'clock. And you're welcome to just drop in, drop out, whatever, attend whichever one you want. We basically address different mindfulness topics, and we discuss it in depth so we can help our meditation practice overall. Get started, and we start with setting our intentions with a short meditation just to get grounded and focused on what we're going to discuss. So sit comfortably. It could be sitting on a chair or sitting on the floor, whatever's comfortable for you. This is a key point, that you are comfortable at keeping the back nice and upright. Placing the hands just with the thumbs touching on the top of the thighs. And taking a deep inhale and exhale, relaxing the shoulders. And now just being aware of your breathing. Breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. Now on the next inhale, we're going to do a body scan. So we're going to scan from the top of the head to the neck, to the shoulders, all the way down the back, down the arms, and down to the pelvis, to the upper thighs, and then to the knees, the shins, and the ankles and the toes. Feeling all the points of contact with the floor or the chair. Just noticing any body sensations. And then just checking in with the mind. What's going on in the mind. And just noting and putting any worries or concerns aside while we practice this Mindful Monday session. And setting our intention for getting present to what mindfulness is, understanding the different elements of mindfulness, why we do it, or what the benefits are, and an overview of what we're going to cover in the upcoming sessions. So taking a nice deep breath in and breathing out. Getting present to sounds around you, coming and going. And Just letting go. And slowly opening your eyes, getting present to what we're about to cover. Okay. So let's start by looking at our learning objectives for today. Okay, so we're basically going to look at to understand and really get present to what mindfulness is. It's one of these words we're hearing a lot more now, but we create perceptions of something and we may not fully understand what it is. So we're also going to generate motivation as to why to be mindful in day-to-day life and what benefits it can give us. And we're going to understand that the key to acquire any skill is practice, practice, and more practice. So to set the foundations for mindfulness as well. So what is mindfulness? So within the sessions, we basically have a group discussion and people bring their perceptions of what mindfulness is. So maybe take a moment and just think about what is your perception currently of mindfulness. Okay, so here is the definition from Jon Kabat-Zinn, who was the founder of the MBSR program, the 8-week program, which is a recognized program within the medical profession. It means the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So he says the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. That's what mindfulness is. So what we'll do is we're just going to break that down just to really get present to it. So we're going to break it down into three words. So we've got awareness, number one, awareness. This aspect is what makes us human. We have consciousness. Animals don't have this consciousness. We do. And this is why we can practice mindfulness. It's going to give us access to that awareness. Attention is the second. So focused awareness. So what mindfulness does is it sustains our attention to a particular subject or an object. And then the third thing, which is quite key, is remembering. And it's this element of remembering to pay attention. Because it's all very well to have this skill, let's say, within a meditation environment or on a yoga mat, but when we actually take it out to our lives, do we remember to pay attention to your experience moment from moment? And that's a key thing, is remembering it. And it's a practice, it's a journey. We're all on a journey and it takes time to get there. So the key elements is this paying attention. You know, what are you paying attention to? It's also about being in the present moment and accepting how things are right here, right now. We spend a lot of time in the past and we spend a lot of time thinking about the future. How much time do you actually think about being in the present moment? The other element is non-reactivity. So there's certain things that people might say to us, there might be triggers, and we react straight away with the same pattern. And what mindfulness does is we move away from that automatic pilot towards a non-judgment mode, and we start to let go. And the final element is compassion. So mindfulness really brings awareness and wisdom to the heart, and brings compassion to, and warmth and friendliness to your experience. And it's just not with others, it's also with yourself, which is one of the main primary relationships that determines all other relationships. So where did it originate from? Yeah. Okay. Well, John Kabat-Zinn wasn't around in the Buddha's time. The Buddha basically incorporated, really looked into mindfulness practice and gave teachings on mindfulness. And it's evolved from there. So the original teachings were done verbally, and then it was written down in a discourse, and it's called the Satipatthana Sutra. And that is basically the teaching on mindfulness. And it goes through 4 elements of that: mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of mind, and mindfulness of Dharma, the truth, which we will go through each element during each Monday. We're going to go through it and we're going to break it down. So it's also can be found in other religions. This is key. So some form of meditation is in most religions. Love and kindness is universal. It's in most religions as well. So it can be found in other religions. So what is the mindfulness practice within Buddhism? So direct quote from the Buddha, as he's not here to quote it: the purification of beings for overcoming sorrow and lamentation, for the extinguishing of suffering and grief, for walking on the path of truth, for the realization of nirvana. So that's his quote for, and we could summarize it and we could just say that it's to end suffering, basically, end discontent that we have in our life. So why to be mindful? Why are we practicing now in the West after many, many years of it being around? Why are we doing it, and what benefits can it bring? So why to be mindful? Many people are alive, but don't touch the miracle of being alive. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh, a Zen Buddhist monk who now resides in Vietnam, his home country. So this is quite key. We can be alive, but we can't be present to the miracle of being alive all the time. So this is what he's saying here. With mindfulness, we can. So to get present to that, we really need to think we do have a precious human life. You're a miracle to be here. And to get present to that fact is that basically when you were created from It took one sperm within 200 million to go to that egg. And that is a miracle in itself, creation. So you're a miracle to be here. Then you had to go through 8 months of development and before coming out into the world. The other thing to get present to is 46.9% of the time our mind is worrying, it's wandering. I'm sure it's mine's more than that, actually. And it's true. Our mind does wander. It shifts from things to other things through the senses. Through we see something, our mind wanders to something else. And the statistic is we have 80,000. There's many statistics on this, on how many thoughts, but basically we have many, many, many thoughts. 80,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are repeating over and over and over and over again. So why to practice? Life is short. Why not to make it meaningful? Consciousness is available to us and not to animals, and we're all connected, and we all just want to be happy. And that's the common denominator. We want to be happy, and our life is the people in our life. We also get present through mindfulness is that we create the world we live in. So I'm just going to introduce this concept that you might get present to how we actually create a second form of suffering. There's 2 types. There's the first type, which is what happens, and it's described in the 2 arrows. So an arrow goes in, it's happened. Nothing you can do about it. It's an event. And the second thing is what we make it to mean. So this can be more suffering than the first. So to put it into context, let's think about COVID-19. COVID-19, world pandemic, it's happened. It's an event in world history. The second arrow, what do we make it to mean? We lost something, we lost someone, we lost our job, we've lost money, we've lost our house. What do we make it to mean? And what do we carry with us as we go forward? So what mindfulness can do is it can help create that space between the 2 arrows. So then you get this space. Within this space, you get something called choice. You can choose to be happy. You can choose to hold on to things. You can choose to hold on to suffering. Many people like their suffering. They might get something out of it. But you get a choice. And this is where we're creating the world we live in and why we're doing it. So the benefits, what are the actual benefits? Wow, we get to see clearly. We get to take off those glasses and increase our understanding. We also improve the immune system of the body through calming the mind. It provides insights. We start to find out why we do what we do. And then we can get, again, to that choice. Do we want to carry on doing it? It improves relationships through connection, increases happiness and contentment. It increases compassion to ourselves and those around us. So why do we want to do it? Well, there are these 8 worldly winds, which we're all going to go into more detail as we progress. But these are the 8 worldly winds: pleasure, pain, gain, loss, praise, blame, prejudice, disgrace. So to get motivation, do this practice is we have to look at the disadvantages of remaining on autopilot, okay, this automatic mode. So basically, what actually happens, it increases our suffering because we've got no awareness of why we're doing what we're doing. We repeat the same mistakes over and over again. We get the same result. We face more obstacles and we find it hard to overcome them. Relationships get tense and stressful. We lose connection. And the level of negative emotion increases, and that has an effect on our well-being because the body keeps the score, which is a fantastic book, and I recommend it. So there is a mind-body connection. So things can result in illnesses. It lowers our immune system. We get lower energy. We can pick up more things. So let's look at the exhaustion funnel. This gives you an example of burnout and what happens in our lives. So we start at the top. So what happens is we're just not sleeping very well. We don't sleep. It's in and out sleep, and then we get low energy, and that comes out in aches and pains, and then there's guilt associated with that because now I can't exercise, and then life becomes joyless, and then you get depressed, and then it's total exhaustion. So this is the funnel. We may all have related to this at some point in our life, or even right now. So this is why we want to practice, because mindfulness, we can be at the top and keep a balance in our life. So, but it also actually increases this connection. Jack Cornfield is one of the Buddhist authors, fantastic, lots of audios out there on YouTube as well to have a look at. But when we get caught up in the busyness of the world, we lose connection with one another. You can see it every day when people are having a conversation, but they're on their mobile phones. They're more connected to the phone than the other person. But most importantly, they're not connected to themselves. And it's this automatic reaction constantly. So how do we do it? How do we acquire this skill of mindfulness? Well, to acquire a skill, it's 4 stages. The first stage is the unconscious incompetence. So this is when you don't know that you don't know. So it's a blind spot. There's things that you don't know. This is similar to the Johari window, if you want to look that up. Then we get to stage 2, which is conscious incompetence. It's when you know that you don't know. and then it's stage 3, the conscious competence, when you know how to do something through conscious involvement. And then you get to stage 4, which is the unconscious competence, when you know how to do something through unconscious habit. So if you look at the skill of cleaning your teeth, when you're younger, you don't know about it. You don't know that you need to clean your teeth. And then you start to think, yeah, I need to clean my teeth. And then you become conscious that it's something that you know how to do. And then you just do it automatically every day. We don't even think about it. So the key thing is practice here. Practice and persistence, coupled with the belief that you can do this. Buddha was not a immortal being. He was a human being. He got to it. Many people have got to enlightenment. You can do it too. So let's just prepare the ground now for mindfulness training. So the next sort of first sessions before we launch into mindfulness of the body, the first section, foundation of mindfulness, we're going to prepare the ground. So we're going to start looking at nurturing your motivation, setting the intention, developing a long-term goal, and getting to that point of acceptance and allowance. Looking at some of the obstacles that may come along on the way and how to overcome them. And also put this element of self-compassion into the practice, to be kind to yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. And you really need to just take time with it and establish your own routine. To do this, clarifying the intention, there's a really good diagram here that will basically do this. So we've got intention at the top, we've got attention, what you pay attention to, and we've got the attitude. So it's your attitude to the practice. So all of those things need to be in balance to start with. And then what sits in the middle is integrity. So integrity, when you say you're going to do, you do. So if you say, I'm going to do 5 minutes practice every day, then you do it. If the integrity is out and you don't restore that with yourself, then that's going to drain you of energy. So we really need to clarify the intention as to why we do what we do, because that's going to give us the motivation to do and to continue with it. So it's a path, it's a journey. And you need to understand the path. So it's about setting reasonable expectations. So if you have a busy day and you set yourself a goal, I'm going to meditate an hour a day, this is unrealistic because you may not have that hour to do it. And you're just going to fall into the trap of guilt every day that you haven't done it. So start off small, maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, build it up to 10, and so on. The other thing is to understand how we learn. This is a key thing, is in terms of some people learn from audios, some people learn from the doing, some people learn from reading. So it's kind of get presence. You can do tests online to find out how you learn, and you can apply this to anything. Develop the conviction, why this has come back to the motivation is why you want to do it. You've really got to develop the conviction. And this is why many people come to mindfulness when things are very, very hard. And you've gone through a lot of suffering and you just can't take it anymore. So it's the last resort. What I'm suggesting is perhaps do it before it becomes a last resort, because it's a better way to do it when you have a balanced mind and you're not in a desperation state. So that's, definitely things, all these things on here, it's understanding them as they're part of the journey. Okay, they're part of the path. Taking action, being in the doing, letting go of perfection, just doing and just going with it. Don't have to sit perfectly on the floor like a meditator to start. You can sit on the chair and that's okay. Right effort. Right effort is basically not pushing too hard, but not slacking off as well. So being lazy. So it's about getting that balance in between with the practice. And then celebration. Yes, celebrating as we go along. Okay. If you've completed 1 week of meditation, you've done 30 minutes every day, then celebrate it. Acknowledge your accomplishment to yourself and share it with others. So yeah, we're going to cover this as well, getting into the flow state. So this is a good state to be in for the optimal performance and the optimal learning. So right now, you may have taken in too much, and it might be too much. So you could be at the high level of complete meltdown or strong anxiety. If that's the case, then pause, stop the recording and come back to it in your own time. It might be that you're a very advanced meditator and you're aware of all these things and you're getting bored. Again, stop. You're not at your optimal performance. So you want to start to recognize when that is. And within the sessions on Monday, what we do is to start to get into that optimal performance. Is the first thing is to meditate and just slow down. Because if we've still got things in our head and conversations lingering from the day, we're not going to actually take the information in. So let's briefly go on to the next sessions that are coming up. So part of setting the foundations for mindfulness, we're going to look at the power of intention, and we're going to look at clear comprehension and what clear comprehension actually means from a Buddhist perspective. We're going to look at understanding being versus doing, and then the middle way. We're also going to understand the mind and the power of the mind and understanding how the brain works. We're going to look at the six senses. We're going to look at those obstacles that are on the path that may come up that may hinder our progression. We're going to look at self-compassion and managing something called the body budget along the way. And finally, we're going to grow healthy attitudes towards the practice and look at what's skillful and what's not, and how we can determine what is and what's not. So that's what's coming up. To start with, you can start thinking about, with each session, what we do is there's an invitation to do the work. Now, we're not a school. It's homework, but it's not forced homework. It's up to you to decide if you want to take it on or not. So that's why it's an invitation to do the work. And the first thing is to start thinking about why you want to do it. You know, I want to practice mindfulness because my relationship's suffering. I want to practice mindfulness because I find that my mind is racing and I have a lot of impulsive thoughts. So here's some starts of sentences. You can basically just write those down and start to think about why you want to do, and the why is important. Some recommended reading lists are given after each session as well. So you can actually go on and do a bit more studying if you want to. This is it. It's really down to you, and get present to what needs doing on your journey to get to where you want to get to. So finally, just to summarize, it really is up to you. Here's what the Buddha said: no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We must walk the path. Nobody's coming. It's down to you. So on that note, we're going to close and just close with just tuning out with meditation. So really get present that it is up to you, because we create the world we live in. bringing our hands together in front of the chest and just scanning the body from head to toe and just checking in with the mind. Taking a deep breath in, bringing something to mind that we're truly grateful for, and just taking a bow forward. Gratitude to yourself for making the time to investigate mindfulness and watching this session. Hope to see you again for the next session.